There was always one chair in the classroom that no one dared to touch or ever sit in. Not because it was broken, but because the boy who sat there never returned to school again, ever. And the strange part was that every morning someone cleaned and maintained that empty chair, carefully still there. Even after 12 years passed, and even after everyone had forgotten the boy's name completely from memory itself. His name was Daniel Carter, a quiet boy with tired eyes, and an even more tired life ahead. He grew up in a forgotten neighborhood where broken houses leaned on each other for support, always falling apart. His father left when he was 7 years old without ever looking back at the family again forever. His mother worked 2 jobs daily just to keep food on the table for them every single day. Most nights Daniel studied under flickering light while listening to empty stomach silence around him in darkness room. But Daniel was not angry at life. He was simply quiet and emotionally withdrawn from everything around him. Well, at school he met Ethan Miller, a loud, confident boy who always smiled without any fear whatsoever today. One day Daniel dropped his books in hallway and papers scattered everywhere across the floor quickly, all around. People ignored him while he struggled. But Ethan stopped immediately and helped him pick everything up patiently without complaint. He said, "You look like someone who needs a friend." Smiling warmly at Daniel right in that moment changed everything. Daniel hesitated for a moment, then slowly nodded, realizing something inside him had already changed forever without saying anything. From that day, Ethan sat beside Daniel in every class and never left his side again ever since then. They shared lunches, dreams, and secrets, and Daniel finally laughed, for the first time in years, truly, deeply, freely. But life never allows happiness to remain stable for long, and everything soon began falling apart unexpectedly again. Daniel's home situation worsened, bills increased, and his mother's health started declining very rapidly, leaving him completely helpless. He began skipping school frequently because responsibilities at home became too heavy for him to handle alone silently daily. Ethan noticed his absence and started worrying about Daniel's sudden disappearance from everyday school life immediately, deeply concerned. One day Ethan confronted him directly, asking where he had been all this time recently with serious concern. Daniel avoided eye contact and said he had things to do, avoiding the real truth very quietly spoken. Silence followed, heavy and uncomfortable between them both during that emotional conversation moment that changed everything between them forever. Then Daniel whispered, "It is not important," hiding pain behind his quiet, broken voice and forced smile barely visible. Ethan followed him home one day because he suspected something was deeply wrong with Daniel, instinctively without hesitation. What he saw there changed him completely. A broken house and suffering family inside beyond anything he expected. Ethan placed half his sandwich on Daniel's desk the next morning without saying anything, casually, pretending extra food. Daniel knew it wasn't true, but he still ate it quietly, feeling cared for deeply inside his heart. Then came the stormy day when Ethan did not come to school at all, leaving Daniel waiting alone. The teacher entered with red eyes and announced Ethan Miller had been transferred away to another country suddenly. Daniel froze completely, unable to process what had just happened to his closest friend in that painful moment. There was no goodbye, no note, and no final conversation between them at all, just sudden disappearance forever. He stood staring at Ethan's empty chair in silence, feeling something deeply break inside, like everything collapsing slowly. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, while nothing ever felt the same again for him. Every morning Daniel arrived early and cleaned Ethan's chair carefully with silent devotion, hoping he would return someday. People started noticing and asking why he still maintained that empty chair every day with unwavering belief inside. Daniel replied softly that he might come back one day, holding on to fragile hope deep within himself, always. They laughed at him, but Daniel never stopped believing in the possibility of return despite their cruel words. Years passed and Daniel grew up, becoming focused and determined despite overwhelming loneliness inside through constant silent struggle. He remembered Ethan's words that he was stronger than he ever believed himself to be, deep inside always. 12 years later, Daniel stood outside a university auditorium on his graduation day, proudly feeling both nervous hope. He received an award for top research achievement, standing quietly while others celebrated loudly around without seeking attention at all. In the audience, he saw an empty chair in the back row that stunned him, instantly bringing memories back. He rushed outside after ceremony, searching through crowd, calling out Ethan's name repeatedly with shaking emotional voice desperately. He sat on steps overwhelmed by emotions, unable to understand what was happening inside, deep confusion and pain. Then a familiar voice called out, asking if he still remembered him after all years, standing just behind him. Daniel turned around slowly and realized it was Ethan standing there, older but smiling with calm, emotional eyes. He whispered Ethan in disbelief, while emotion broke through all his long suppressed feelings, suddenly overflowing instantly again. Ethan explained he was sick and had moved away for treatment with his family abroad long time ago. Daniel's voice shook as he said he waited for him every single day for years without ever stopping. Ethan softly said he knew because he once came back and saw him cleaning chair from a distance silently. Daniel called him an idiot through tears, saying he should have called him immediately without any hesitation at all. Ethan placed a worn notebook filled with years of unsent letters into Daniel's hands slowly and carefully today. Every letter ended with hope that Daniel would still believe in life and friendship no matter what happened. They sat together for hours, talking, laughing, and healing the wounds of their separation slowly and peacefully again. Life breaks people, but true friendship survives through memories, hope, and unconditional understanding, always beyond time itself, forever. That classroom chair was never truly empty, holding memories, love, and forgotten promises inside through endless years always.